Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Havashai Bahashem Rakah Kwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathens that look like the heathens. And to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And there's a couple videos floating around by I think it's called BOTW, Believers of the Way, who learned everything that they know from the One West. From the people who came from One West, mainly, and I've listened to. I've never really listened to them too often. I may have come across a video, here and there, but I've never really followed them or anything. And it's like Murph says, we call them add water Israelites. Guys were just in the world, yesteryear when the men of the Lord have been out on the highways and byways a lifetime. And then these guys wake up, and in a couple years, they're greater than the men who they learned from. And it just, and it's ridiculous with the things that come out of their mouth. And now they're coming against the 12 tribe sign. And my issue with that is that, are they coming against the Northern Kingdom as well? Because one thing's for sure. There is no scripture that says that strangers would go into slavery, with the Israelites. And you're looking at this book by William Lorenz Katz. Katz is a Jewish name. Well, either it's a German name. One of the, I think it's Jewish, actually. And he's probably a German Jew. But it says, and right here in his book, it says, Black Indians is a major contribution, particularly valuable because of the subject has been overlooked. And it's true. And it was overlooked for racial reasons. Esau, Edom didn't want anyone that's so-called black to get the benefits of being native to the land. Because when you actually, and it's funny how these two characters, one looks like Pharrell, the other one looks like Danny Glover. But they're brothers. All right. And when I mean brothers, they're from the same nation. Different tribe, same nation. Because there's a image that they use during slavery. Let me see if I can find this image real quick. But there's an image that they use on many signs, when they're slaves for sale, and they say Hebrews for sale. The issue with that image that they used throughout history is that actual image is a slavery that actual image that they use is of natives here in America. And a lot of people aren't aware of that, when they look at that old signs like that. All right. Hold on. Let me go into the evidence folder real quick and find that image. I'm pretty sure this one right here. And then I'm going to prove it to you because I'm going to show it to you up close. Let's turn this sideways so you can see it. But it says right here, it says to be sold on board ships, all right, Negroes. And then you see the images that they have. Problem is that those images come out of a book about Native Americans who were dark like that. So the natives were always dark. It even says smallpox free. Why would you be worrying about slaves coming from the west coast of Africa? All right, there was no smallpox there. Smallpox was brought here by the so-called white man and given unto the natives. To see in this book, let me show you. On page 56, in this very book that you're looking at, I'm gonna read something to you. The bottom paragraph, it says, to disrupt racial alliances, U.S. officials promoted slavery among the Seminoles, which they gave us that name. That happens to be the tribe that I'm from. It says, of 5 civilized nations, only the Seminoles rejected the kind of slavery the U.S. wanted. Wealthy Creeks, who owned their riches to the slave labor, was sent to persuade the Seminole chiefs to become slave masters. Whites and Creek Indians were encouraged to raise Seminole villages for slaves. Free Seminole men and women were carried off to be sold in southern slave markets. And here they are. These were those Seminoles that they were carrying off to be sold in southern slave markets. I'm gonna prove it to you, because they they printed that up, and that was a common sign. But I'm gonna show you the actual book and the image that came from. Lord's will, I have it. I screenshotted and saved it. Lord's will. So I know I have it. Just give me a moment. I'm searching. Yeah, here we go. The water Yahweh Bashem was shy. There it is. Those were those Negroes, those tree niggers or forest niggers that they encountered when Christopher Columbus came. All right? There they are. So these guys never came from Africa. They were in ancient America. That's the cover of a book, and these images are in that book. And so they took that image, all right, and they reclassified. So and guess what? Those same Seminoles that were sold, that was sold into slavery in the southern slave markets, they reclassified dark natives as Negroes. Those census enumerators, they reclassified them as Negroes. So when they use this sign, let's bring it up again. So when they use this sign, all right, you see? But those were natives all along. That's why they were worried about trying to convince the people that smallpox, they had no smallpox. All right? Because you got to remember that the so-called white man, the self-proclaimed white man, he used smallpox to, to bring down the numbers and destroy a lot of, the natives, our people, the Israelites, the Northern Kingdom Israelites who came here from the east by way of ship, right? Not across a Bering Strait, all right? And even if that did, you got to remember that Israel is in Asia. From Israel to the Bering Strait is all Asia. So they still would have come from Asia. So that still wouldn't help you. The Middle East is a made-up terminology, just like white man and black man is made-up terminology. Indian is made-up terminology. That's the so-called white man controlling the narrative, trying to control the narrative with white superiority, which there's no such thing. They made it up. 1681 Virginia. Do some research. Right, so trying to deny that the natives, Israelites, would be foolish, especially with all the relics that were found. You have to remember there were more Hebrew relics found among the natives using the ancient Paleo-Hebrew than there was among the Negroes. Facts. All right, facts. You can't get around it. There was so many relics that were found from Canada to Brazil. All right, and they were using the ancient Phoenician. So when they got over here, they no longer used the Assyrian script, but they wrote in the ancient script. All right. So now let's flip the switch a little bit. Let's go to Ezekiel 37 for these guys, these deniers of the 12 tribe sign. Because one thing that I do know. Actually, I'm going to read Jeremiah 50 and 33 first, just to further confirm, all right, that they want slave ships together, the so-called black man and the so-called other black man, the brown man, the natives, all right. But this is Jeremiah 50 and 33, and it reads, "And Yahweh of hosts, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go." And I have a book on the shelf behind me that gives you an account in 1715 of a ship that came into New York called the Royal Anne, ANEE, the Royal Anne, and it gave you a log of Negroes and native slaves. All right, so there is no prophecy that says that there will be strange people that go into slavery with the Israelites. Okay, just like there's no prophecy that says that the sign would be given in Ezekiel 37. It says and Yahweh came unto me, 37:15, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, make thee one stick and write upon it Judah for the children of Israel, his companions, and take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel and his companions. The prophecy is that the Israelites would wake up, the men of the Lord would come out to the highways and byways and teach, and they would have a 12-tribe sign. They would have a stick, a plank. All right? There is no prophecy that says that they will come out and have the wrong info, and then new prophets would come along and correct them. The arrogance and the ignorance and the pride on these Adwater Israelites is sickening. Let's continue reading. It says, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee saying, wilt thou show us what thou meanest by these? So many people, the regathering and the reconnection of the northern and southern kingdom coming back together. Now these guys want to tear it all down, all right, so that they can do it again. Where is that in prophecy? BOTW. Adwater Israelites. Okay? You just put down the Newport, just put down the Blunt yesterday, and now you know more than the elders of the great millstone, than the elder apostles of the great millstone, of other great men that has been doing this work all along. What's my man, Priest Tahawam? The brother, the elder brother that went to the spirit world. Priest Banloya. All right. All of a sudden, you know more than these men. All right. And it says, and when the children, at verse 18 again, and when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel and his fellows, and I will put them with him, even a stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. All right. So now that has been done and has been taught, and Israel is awakening, you want to reverse this prophecy. That was a prophecy that came to pass. All right. Now we're to the end. So World War III has begun, and the injection of the C-HIP, of the MOTB, is on the table now. They look, America goes digital in a month and a week. All right, it's February 1st. All right, so you got the rest of February, and then you have I think it's March 8th, and we still don't know who the tribes are, and the MOTB is about to be implemented. Man, you guys need to sit y'all asses down and shut STFU for real. Okay, let's get back into the book. Let's go to page 26. All right, not to mention that the prophecies in Genesis, the 49th chapter, match up with the 12 tribe sign perfectly. Perfectly. Find another group of people in another place where you can match them up. You can't, and you won't. All right. But let's go to man, this is really a lot of good information in this book. I haven't done lessons in this book in years. But this is on page 26, second paragraph, and it says, it began with Columbus. Let's call him Cologne. His real name is Cristobal Colon. All right. He was a Spanish Jewish guy. All right. And it says Cristobal Colon. I'm not going to call him Columbus. That's not his real name. All right. I have a book of a lawsuit, the records of his son Diego Colon, his lawsuit against the crown to prove it. And he mentions his father Cristobal Colon. All right. But Cristobal Colon, whose unique seamanship and courage, oh my God, had opened up the America. He came over here with 5 Hebrew interpreters, Moors, so-called black men, sellouts, who directed them over here to the northern kingdom because they knew, all right, the Israelites, Judah knew they'd never really come here, but they knew where they came because they had the biblical records and they knew the history. All right, it says Cristobal Colon, whose unique seamanship and courage opened up the Americas to European penetration. That's true. Also began the transatlantic slave trade. So the transatlantic slave trade began 100 years with so-called brown men. All right, these natives. Let me bring that picture up again. The Taínos and the Arawak. All right, that look like this. Let's find that image again. Let's go to the receipts. There we go. So he opened up the slave trade with these people, these natives, the Arawak and the Taínos. All right. You will refer to the Taínos as Puerto Ricans today when they went to Hispaniola, which is modern day Haiti and Dominican Republic. All right. And it says, he started by shipping 10 Arawak men and women to Seville, Spain. He wrote enthusiastically to King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella about the business possibilities. From here, in the name of the Blessed Trinity, in the name of false Christianity, and then they brought that self-proclaimed white man. They brought the false image of Cesare Borgia over here, who posed to be the new image of the Lord, by the way. All right, they brought that with them. So it says, in the name of the Blessed Trinity, we can send all the slaves that can be sold. So he loaded up 1,100 Taínos, be Puerto Ricans today, men and women aboard 4 Spanish ships, crowding and the stormy Atlantic crossing took a fearful toll. Only 300 survived, but Columbus and Spain had decided to continue the profitable slave trade from the Americas. All right, Seville, Spain became the slave capital of Spain. It became the slave capital of Europe. All right, it opened up the slave trade. And so for 100 years, they were shipping so-called natives, black men, brown men, back and forth. And it wasn't until 100 years later they started going to the west coast of Africa to get the southern kingdom that fled from Israel into the interiors of Africa, all across North Africa and down into the west coast of Africa. The old maps that talk, the old naval maps from the 1700s that referred to west coast of Africa as Negro land. There was a difference between a Negro and an African. 2 different races of dark people. All right? There's always someone new. So let's get a receipt on that. All right? They're completely different races of people. I think that's the first receipt, if I'm not mistaken. Here we go. Call hello. So, all right. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites, which are African. All right. So you had the brown skin, see? The brown skinned Judite, and the African, the darker one, was a Hamite. and they do look different, and they have different features, and the racial structure and the construction of the teeth of the Negroes is the same as the mouth on the so-called natives and Hispanics here in the Americas. They have the same identifying markers in their mouths, and the Hamites don't have those markers. All right, and I've had a couple different dentists solidify that. All right, we were actually talking about it on the line many years back, maybe about 8-9 years ago, and there was a dentist who was actually standing there listening, and he solidified it. I started talking about the shovel teeth. He knew exactly what I was talking about, and he confirmed that is something that Hispanic people, Native Americans, and Negroes have. Africans do not have those markers in their mouths. All right, they killed us so often, and so many of us. They studied everything about us. They were trying to figure out why we were so durable, why we were so strong. All right, so you have to tell me, why is it that these people have these same identifying marks in their teeth? All right, the Negro and the so-called Mexican, all right, so-called Puerto Rican, but the African doesn't have them. All right, so it's just too much evidence, man. Too many things, you just cannot get around it. Okay, so let me see if there's a little bit more to this book that I want to read before I go do a lesson in it. Yeah, on the same page 26, I'll just read down. It says, they killed them Indians because they want to be rich and have much gold with their sole aim. Lacasse concluded, and they're talking about the memoirs of Bartholomew de las Casas, Bishop de las Casas, all right, concluded that the New World Spaniards had become devils. No, they were devils all along, all right. And the Indians, and they knew they brought 5 Hebrew interpreters to come to India. Think about it. They named them Indians on purpose, and Indians mean savage. All right, that's actually worse than nigger, right? Because the word nigger became a term of contention. In the beginning, the word nigger meant simply it was no different from calling someone Negro or dark skin or black. All right. Without the, Moreno, Moor, it didn't have a negative connotation. It became that, all right? Savage means savage, okay? And that's what Indian means, all right? It says, the New World Spaniards had become devils. They came over here, devils. And the Indians were the only true Christians. Ooh, that's a cut. Because the only true Christians is really the Israelites, all right? It says, Lacasse led a determined effort to halt Indian bondage. He pointed out that Indians died off by the thousands from slavery and European disease. Forced labor in Spanish mines in the Americas was so harsh that the average worker died before he was 26. So they were working they were working my people. They were working us to death, man. To meet their need for more laborers, the Europeans looked next to Africa. The strongest sons and daughters of, they weren't of Africa, they were from Israel. They were from Asia, all right? Israel is in Asia. They were seized in their homes or fields, purchased for local, and all this goes right into the scriptures. You can go right into Joel, the 3rd chapter. They were packed into cargo ships. So now, this is 100 years later, all right? They were packed into cargo ships and shipped across the Atlantic through Brannigan and Dublin youth who for many years served as seamen aboard slave ships, described the boarding scene. All right, children are torn from their distracted parents from their screaming children, wives from their frantic husbands from their violated wives. They were raping them right there on the spot. All right, a lot of women they were pregnant by the time they got over here from getting raped every day or every other day. Whenever they weren't bleeding, they was getting ran up in. And men were being raped too. All right. Brothers from their loving sisters from their affectionate brothers, seeing them collected in flocks and like a herd of swine driven into ships. They cry, they struggle, they resist, but all in vain. No eye pities, no hand helps. And then that's Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Then when they should go into slavery on ships, they were going to Egypt again. Egypt meaning house of bondage, to slavery on ships. All right. So with that, I hope this edifying lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash, Wa Abba Kwam Yasharala Shalom.